I heard.
Jim? We're all live again. All good, Jim?
All good.
All right, sorry for any technical difficulties we've been having, but we believe we're back up streaming. We just finished recognizing the honesty of my competitors. I'm so proud of them. Next on tonight's agenda is the Board of Education acknowledges the Treasury Report for April 2021. Next on the agenda is privilege of the floor. Just like to read for the minutes and for going forward, a review of the privilege of the floor process. So I read this. This is policy 3225 summary. Persons wishing to speak should first be recognized by the president, then identify themselves. Any group or organization who wishes to address the board must identify a single spokesperson. Comments shall be brief and concise, generally not exceeding 2 minutes in length per speaker, which may be extended at the discretion of the board president. Speakers may comment on matters related to district business only. The board does not permit in public session discussions involving individual district personnel or students. Persons wishing to discuss matters involving individual district personnel or students should present their comments and or concerns to the superintendent during regular business hours. All speakers are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Obscene language, libelous statements, threats of violence, statements advocating racial, religious, or other forms of prejudice will not be tolerated. That's just a review of our policy. It's been a while since we had in-person privilege of the floor, so we thought that would be helpful. I think we have Warren Weinstein. You can come up. Or stand up right there if you want, if you're comfortable there. Or come on up, sit down.
Okay, hi, good evening. There are zero efficacy standards for child-sized masks. Child-sized masks are untested, unfitted, and unregulated apparatus that restrict breathing, cause an increase in carbon dioxide, and are a petri dish of secondary pathogen that sit directly in front of the nose and mouth for 6 hours or longer a day. Medical clearance and medical consent have never been mentioned, yet masking is harmful to health. Deoxygenation and hypercapnia occur. Quote, I've seen hundreds of children come to my practice who are coughing, spitting, sick in the throat, streptococcal, impetigo, conjunctivitis, allergic reactions, panic attacks, all from masks, Dr. Mark McDonald. Sanitary, masks are dropped, stuffed in pockets, constantly touched, sneezed and coughed into, and worn into the bathrooms where they pick up fecal matter and other pathogens from toilet plumes to be breathed in and tasted all day long. Dr. Stephen Petty, a certified industrial hygienist, expert in masks, testified in July about mask uselessness. He testified that mask mandates are wholly ineffective at reducing the spread of this virus. Masks are worthless, he explained, because they are not capable of filtering anything as small as COVID-19 aerosols. Masks have no standards, are not respirators, and do not even qualify as protective equipment. He testified that mask leak cannot be sealed and may be contaminated due to repetitive use and the manner of use. He emphatically stated that mask wearing provides no benefit whatsoever, either to the wearer or others. Even the CDC states, coming in close contact with someone with the coronavirus for more than 15 minutes could spread the virus regardless of whether either party wears a mask. As a teacher, seeing faces is imperative for effective learning. As a parent, I understand that freedom of choice is crucial. A mask optional setting would allow for parents to choose how they want their children to receive their free and appropriate education. Masks are not source controlled, cannot stop the spread of this virus, and are dangerous for our students' health, mentally and physically. Parents need to have the choice to mask or not to mask.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. Would you like to submit that, or?
Yeah, sure. I have links.
You can give it to Maureen.
And you can help.
Next on the agenda is the President's Report. Just a few comments. As amazing as it is, we're a few weeks away from first day of school, September 1st. We look forward to seeing everyone back, and our administration team is working hard to prepare. Tonight we'll also get a UPK update from Mr. Carter, so we're looking forward to that. I know he's been working hard on that with the team, with Dr. Coates. And finally, at our next meeting, it's going to be, I think it's a meeting we tour the building as well. So put that on your calendar for our board. And we also should get our update from Land Associates regarding our infiltration survey we've done. So we look forward to that. Next on the agenda is a legislative update on OCSBA. Sharon.
Okay. I don't have too much to report, but the New York State School Board Association is asking officials to end the federal cap on state and local tax deduction. So advocacy messages have been sent out to legislators. There's more general information that's going to be coming out at the end of the month. And I've been in touch with someone who's kind of guiding me as to what, will be coming my way, for the future. So I'll probably have more information, by next month.
Great. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Any questions? Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Coates.
Thank you, Mr. Pucci. I get that's pretty hard.
Good time.
If you switch it to go off, it'll go up. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm going to be partnering on the first two items on my agenda tonight with Mr. Carter. As mentioned previously, the district did submit an RFP out to local providers in terms of the opportunity to partner with the district to offer universal pre-K. The bid was submitted legally as was appropriate, and one bid was accepted, and we are going to be asking the board tonight to consider that bid for approval. Mr. Carter and I have spent several weeks now reviewing the bid as compared to the RFP. We reviewed it with the legal team as well. We do believe that the bid is qualified and prepared for the board's approval. Before we go any further, though, I'm going to ask Mr. Carter to give just a brief overview of what we have seen with the bid and what we can expect with the process moving forward.
Thank you, Dr. Coates. Good evening, everyone. So we had a proposal sent in by On My Way Early Learning Center in Middletown. Our goal here is to start on September 1st, offering full day pre-K. This will be for 4-year-olds, those that are district residents turning 4 on or before December 1st. In speaking with Jason Breslin at the Office of Early Learning, and then of course through conversation with Dr. Coates and many others, we realized that the 18-1-1 is the ratio that we had to have based on UPK and the allocations that would be provided. However, in speaking with Mrs. Fuentes at On My Way, she is actually willing to provide us with one space of 21-2. So that would be 20 students, 1 teacher, 2 teaching assistants. So we are grateful to get up and running. Currently, there are 21 other Goshen students that are there in the program. This would be an additional 20 for us. I think that's a victory for us, being that this will be our first year since potentially late 90s, early 2000s. So we're very pleased with that. On My Way is licensed by the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, which is really important. You always want to make sure that they are licensed properly. And they also provide instruction in the areas of language, literacy, math, science, social skills, self-care skills, and everything is aligned with the New York State pre-kindergarten learning standards. So once again, monitoring the quality of the program is very important for us. And in working with On My Way, Dr. Coates and I both feel as though our children that attend will receive a quality education following the New York State learning standards for pre-kindergarten. At the center, there will be milk provided, juices provided, lunches, snack, which is a major component of a UPK program. So that was also in the proposal, which again is very important. One thing to note, Transportation will not be provided either by Goshen Central School District or On My Way, so that will be parent responsibility in having children attend. As we move forward now, tonight is a big night for us in approving the proposal. And once that occurs, Dr. Coates and I will work with Christina Gore so that we can get proper notification out regarding the UPK application process. So we did spend some time today having those discussions with Christina, and I believe that we will be able to share the necessary information regarding the application process by a school messenger. We will place it on the district website, and then by Wednesday afternoon, we should be prepared at least to put all the information necessary in one of our local newspapers quickly. There is potential to put it out in 2 others. However, remember, we are trying to adhere to that September 1 start date because that is very important for our students and very important for the Learning Center. Our registrar, Michelle Cerna, is also prepared with the proper documentation so that once the notifications go out, she can receive that information back and put it in proper numerical order, because shortly after we close that registration process, probably the next day, if not 2 days later, we will go through the lottery process for those 20 seats. And that information will be included as well in our notifications on the web and our local newspapers. So, I think some of the questions now surround where do we go from here? What are the next steps beyond the application process? I can tell you that both Dr. Coates and myself will go and have probably frequent meetings leading up to September 1st with Mrs. Fuentes and her staff. There will be site visits. We will do safety checks. We will hands-on, have the real McCoy, meaning the certificates, your certificate of occupancy, all the necessary documents. We will review curriculum. We will review assessments that are necessary as well. And they will adhere to the Goshen Central School District calendar, which I think is another important piece. So again, I know that this is our upstart year, if you will, but I do believe that being able to have 20 students attend UPK is a great start for us. There will be opportunities for expansion. I also know that Mrs. Fuentes at On My Way has mentioned that there may be possibilities in the future for expansion in that location. And then also remember, beyond contract extensions, there's also opportunity through this RFP process for others to send in proposals that we can choose to work with. This number of 20 does not hit our full allocation of 54, so we did not hit that. And then also, if you can recall previous conversations, there is opportunity for expansion grants that can continue to grow that number over the course of 3 years. And hopefully that funding would continue to come to us, which was explained to me that it would continue to come to us after year 3 of the expansion grants. So I think the future is bright for UPK here in Goshen. I think we've got a great relationship already established, and I think it's going to grow and prosper. And of course, our students will benefit, students and families. So we look forward to working with Mrs. Fuentes and On My Way Learning with board approval tonight.
I just want to go back to one additional thing that Mr. Carter had shared. The visits that we will complete are not simply because we want to check in and see what they are doing and what they're teaching. They're required by state regs. We will have to make sure that they are adhering not only to everything that's in the RFP, but to the state learning standards that also exist for pre-K offerings throughout the state as well. Mr. Carter and I will make sure that we have an ample checklist that when we complete these visits, that the organization stays in full compliance through every step of the process. All indicators from the conversations and the correspondence that we've had up front is that they're well equipped to do so and well prepared to take on the challenge of now accepting the program on behalf of the district.
I just have one quick question. With the funding, how does that actually work? Because technically we were looking at a goal of, I think it was 54 students, and now we're looking at 20. So with that gap, what happens? Is there a penalty? Is there anything? Can we use it for something? We can't use it for anything else.
So there is a per pupil allocation based on the number of students that they have submitted that they will be eligible. The district acts as the pass-through for them to receive the funding. What we can write in the portal is now just open for us to submit application to receive funding from the state. It just opened about 2 days ago. We can put in for administrative fees for us to have to go and view the facility and see the facility and make sure that they are in compliance. Otherwise, one of the things that we have to examine further is whether or not any of that money rolls over, or does the same allocation simply stay available for the next year.
What does their typical day look like over there? Do you know?
Yeah, so, you've got your 5 hours of time there, not including your meal times and your nap times. And then essentially, what you have is all of the instruction in those particular content areas throughout the day on their schedule, which we do have to work through, have eyes on and approve. And then they're on a tremendous facility, basically a standalone facility. It's just on my way learning. And they've got an outstanding outdoor facility for playtime as well. So you throw that in there for their full day. Optionally, parents can choose to take part in the before school day care and the after school day care, which we will not fund, but that is there for them as well. So the typical day can range, from 7:30 in the morning until maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening, whatever on my way can accommodate. But for us in our UPK program, it's primarily the instructional day with a little bit of nap time, a little bit of snack time.
8 to 2 or something like that? Is that what it's going?
Pardon me?
What time is it starting? Like, is that 8 to 2 or?
So we're going to follow the elementary schedule. I believe that's part of our negotiation. If it has to start earlier, because that's what the cohort would suggest, we would work on that too.
Right.
So it could be an 8:30 start, it could be a 9:15 or a 9:20 start. We haven't gotten quite to that point yet, but the particulars are certainly the more important pieces of the instructional day.
Yeah.
And that meal time and snack time and playtime.
Any questions? Thank you.
So we'll keep right on moving then. So the next item that Mr. Carter and I are going to be discussing tonight is really surrounding our technology inventory. So when the COVID pandemic set in, the district was forced very quickly to be ready to accommodate the needs of students. Number one, that didn't have devices at home, but also to help them overcome internet access issues. As we started to conclude the year this year, Mr. Starrett, Mr. Redeker, Mr. Carter, and myself met just about a week ago to review where our inventory stood in terms of devices that either had not been returned, devices that had been damaged, or any combination thereof. So the devices that didn't get returned in aggregate are just short of about 10%. That is a significant number of devices. It's a significant loss for the school district. One of the things that we need to address moving forward to ensure that, first and foremost, that if we find ourselves in a position where students do still need devices at home, that they have access, but we're also protecting the inventory of the district at the same time. We can look at this in 4 different perspectives. Number one, we can continue to do what we're doing and just realize that we're going to have to absorb the loss somewhere along the way. Number 2, we could look at consideration of a consent form that a parent or guardian has to sign before the device leaves the school, so that parents acknowledge if the device is broken, if the device is lost, anything happens, that they're liable for that device. One of the things that we need to stay cognizant of is sometimes when a family takes a device, they don't have the means for a device at the same time, so we have to maintain that awareness. 2 other options we can consider. There is a group out of Eastern Orange County over in the Marlboro area that services devices. Another district in the county has taken it that everyone that takes a device puts X number of dollars into the pool, and we create a device repair plan, if you will. So someone comes back and your keyboard is broken. You've already given your $10 or $15, your device goes in, keyboard gets replaced, and it comes back. There is risks and benefits. Sometimes your repair cost may exceed the amount that you collected. Sometimes you may have a surplus. We need to look at all the potential pros and cons. The last piece is some districts have opted to have families take insurance on the devices. I believe the approximate cost for the newest devices that we're looking at when we got an estimate was in the realm of about $29 per year. Is that correct, Mr. Carter? Is in the realm of about $29 per year. Now, given that the device you may be receiving is only about a $250, $300 device, some people may question that as well. Why are they paying $29 for that device? I do think we need to take real consideration on how we're going to address this, because if we were to cost this at a new device for just short of about 400 devices that didn't return, it's a significant loss for the district.
Well, I think that it's definitely something that we need to tighten up, obviously. Given the circumstances that we were in, we were happy to provide the devices to people in need, especially that, didn't have the means or the access to devices, even families that could, if they had 4 kids, it was very helpful for them. But all the kids had a device, so we were happy to provide that. Saying that, we need to tighten it up. I'm not personally in favor of charging everybody $10 for a repair. I think that's I think you should take individual responsibility for the device to take it. But I'm open for discussion on that, or you want to hear back on that? You want to talk about it around the table now, or?
I'm glad to hear from the board, because we're racing in on the beginning of the year, and if we're going to put a form in place where people have to sign the devices out, we just want to prepare appropriately the principals to be able to.
I like the insurance idea personally, that people take it themselves, sign it out, and get insurance if they want it. If they don't want the insurance, they sign the form and take the risk. But
I think there's definitely gotta be a waiver, right now there's nothing,
Correct.
so we gotta have a waiver, so that at least they know what's gonna happen if.
sign out during that,
I know you had said that there was another district. What is it? The only district that I'm aware of that definitely does the one-to-one devices and has been doing it for a while is Middletown. What is that policy?
I'm not certain what they did. The one that we had some communication with was Marlboro out on the river, and they had gone to the repair plan, and I don't remember the exact dollar figure that they collected, but in doing so, they about broke even for the year. In my previous role, we were investigating insurance, that everyone would have to take the insurance plan or sign off that you're accepting responsibility if the device is broken or damaged beyond repair.
Right, so then that being said, if the device is $250, then you're responsible for the $250. You can give them the option that
You don't take
you can
insurance.
take insurance or you're responsible for the device cost.
So one of the
Or
other
replacement.
So one of the other conversations that Mr. Carter and I had earlier this afternoon was really, if you receive a 3-year-old device, obviously it has depreciation. So Mr. Starrett had been able to get a prorated cost based on the age of the device in the hands of the student on what we would collect potentially if it was broken. We're obviously not going to get full costs, even though we would be absorbing some of the loss. We know that these are built for obsolescence.
I do think, looking back, the technology committee that you were involved in before you left, that the investment we made from back then to now in our devices probably went up, 6-fold to what we had, which is one of the reasons we were able to provide the device to everybody that needed it. I still think we'll continue that one way or another. We got to continue our replacement cycle anyway, right? So I guess the question, even with the loss, we're still in pretty good shape, I see. We're more than 1-1 still.
If we were able to put an order in, and inventory has been an issue simply because of the slowdown in production.
Right.
But it's our understanding that a batch of replacements are coming. However, if we continued at this rate,
Right.
we would find ourselves in the deficit very shortly thereafter.
Any other thoughts?
Just out of curiosity, how much is each device roughly? I'm sorry, Tom, I just saw it out of the corner of my eye. Are they like 250?
Well, depends on what
Yeah,
you're.
some are $249, some are $379.
Touchscreen, no touchscreen.
The more powerful that we purchased were a little bit more than that.
And there's a software fee that goes
With each one?
with each one to be able to license it to the district as well.
So would it be a fair statement to say about 75,000 to 100,000 a year we would be absorbing if we do nothing?
If we did nothing, roughly, I'd say a little bit more actually with the software licenses.
Most are from the high school. Easy thing there is seniors, you don't give it to us, you don't get your diploma. It'd be interesting to see how many were seniors. You have to hit the parents up front. Forget it. You can have them sign anything you want, you're never getting them again. Right? You're not gonna get them. You want to either do something and hit them up front, you give us money now, or don't waste our time and absorb the 100K. There's no in between. you're not gonna get money from them. You get the credit card number up front. You're never gonna get money at the end. So you gotta hit them up front, or there's no middle. It's gonna be administrative costs, waste of time. My 2 cents. Take the money up front.
I like the type of insurance policy where everybody contributes.
And
How do you like that, the $10?
Well, something you pull together and, you get most of them back and then, what's left.
I mean, we have to be,
Put towards the loss and then, hopefully you break even, but
we have
it's
to be
gonna be
aware not
difficult to have
everybody's
somebody
gonna take
throw up $200 or write a check.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. You can take the $29 up front,
Right.
$10, $15 up front.
But you meant
That's
like-
what I mean, not pay for it.
That's what I.
You get their money from them up front, because you're never gonna get it on the back end.
Right.
I don't care what they say.
Also, too, it could be preventative, because then somebody will look at that and say, well, I don't even want to pay the insurance, I got a device at home, I don't need one. Right.
And with kids going back to school, are we gonna continue allowing them to bring them home?
I think some will still need,
Right, okay.
I think a lot won't to house at this point. But even,
But hopefully next year it won't be this high.
I would think that's, abnormal.
So just to Tom's point, in previous experience, if you put something in between the student and the device, i.e. a sign off, you are more likely going to say, well, I've got a laptop at home.
Right.
I've got a computer at home. So the number of devices that have to go drops dramatically.
I agree. I think
There'll be some still, unfortunately, that it's just going to be an unfortunate issue. But something to slow it down rather than this kind of loss.
I agree.
I like the waiver and I like the insurance.
Now, the students at home, will they be using programs that are either, that they would need a specific device, whether it be an Apple product or a Windows product? Because that could create an issue where certain apps are only available one way or another.
Yep.
So then we're kind of forcing them to use one device. We might not.
So it's a great point. So many of our teachers use Google-based app extensions. And if someone happens to have an iOS-based machine at home, it's not necessarily going to be compatible. I don't know that we can lay universal blanket on that. For example, use the high school as an example. We have a Mac lab in the high school. If a student is going to work on a project at home, they may not necessarily have access. Pretty universally, I feel comfortable saying the majority of our teachers do use Google-based products. And I think that we have a lot of compatibility, but we can leave it as granular to classroom discussion before a class of children leave for the day to make sure that they have the access that they need and a teacher work around that individually with them. I don't know that we would be able to get that granular to make sure that we can address all of those needs individually.
And then my second question would be, there's a difference between a device crashing because it's a 3-year-old device,
Sure.
and a device being destroyed because someone's dropping it, banging it around. So how do we determine between those?
So we, in the past, I have worked on vetting those, if we went to a sign-out form to vet those legally and to use exactly the language. Device failure, software failure is one thing. However, you can tell if a fist has been through a keyboard's been plucked off. Signs of malice, I had one come last year where you could see that the student had sat on it. So it was pretty clear that that was the issue. So some of it is common sense, to say the least, but also we have to take ownership for, in some ways, the devices that we're buying for software and device failure at the same time.
I was gonna say, I would expect compatibility would be an issue because everything's based off of browser, Chrome browser. And every device supports a Chrome browser. I'd be surprised if there were things, unless the Chromebook has specific
We do,
installations, but I would believe the Chrome browser should be able to handle anybody's.
we do in limited instances have certain Chrome extension apps that we do buy for teachers. So if it was not on a district device that had been pushed out from us
Okay.
as a district, it might be an issue. I think it would be limited rather than the norm.
Yeah, I agree. It's possible that there's a plug-in for it too.
And just quickly, we talked about maybe trying one last push, like
Yep.
on day one when you come in, if you still have, if you kind of forgot,
Yep.
bring your device.
We absolutely can try again. I think some of these are damaged. I know that we tried to differentiate. Jim Starrett can actually look at the last time that the device was active, but he can't necessarily see remotely whether it was damaged or whether it's simply sitting under a bed somewhere at home. Yeah.
Good case.
And I imagine if they did a return loan, they're not going to get another one.
Well, you can't necessarily do that because you can't inhibit a child. If a teacher assigns something that requires remote access at home, we can't give the assignment and then
Or
not
we
give.
issued a device that they didn't return.
Correct, but if they're saying it's lost, they don't have it, we simply can't go out and say, just because we lost it, you can't have another one, but here's your homework assignment that requires you to get online. The teacher could give an alternate assignment, but then that's incumbent on the district again to do that.
Do you want to talk quickly about the repair box?
Go ahead.
So not to, make light of any situation of this nature, but many of the devices that are coming back are missing, keys. Some of them have the front-facing cameras ripped off. So they're not a total loss, they're a state of damage, and that is included in here. So some of those larger numbers may be, busted keyboards or a busted front-facing camera. Some of those that come in are irreparable. There's nothing you can do with them, but you can scavenge parts. And Jim has been doing that, taking the front-facing camera off of this one, replacing that one. It's a quick fix. So although the numbers are, what they are, some of them are able to be put back into service quickly, whereas others are just completely damaged, cracked screens and so on. So I just wanted to kind of let you know what our tech department was doing, again, not to make light of any, scenario here with loss.
Do you want a resolution for that, or?
No, if we can come back to this before the end of the month, because again, I need to prepare something to move forward with the principals and with the tech department. So if we do start to issue devices again in the beginning of the year.
I think we're all in agreement on some type of sign up form that needs to be to keep track of that. I think the discussion was to be repair or insurance, basically.
Or simply just a sign off that they accept personal accountability if the device is damaged or lost or completely destroyed, that they would be personally accountable.
Okay.
Mr. Carter, I think we can start to prepare a form that can work with legal on what appropriate verbiage needs to be in there, and then we can button up the other pieces of the subsequent meeting before the year starts.
Sure.
Okay, so move on. Okay, we will be convening our school reopening committee for 21-22 for the new year, much of which we will be reviewing a large swath of medical information that we currently have. We will be looking at information from the CDC, the American Association of Pediatrics, our local communication with the Department of Health, and a wide variety of other information to make some final determinations on how we are going to reopen school for the new year. The one commitment that we can make, I will repeat what we have been saying all along, our commitment is to keeping our schools open as safely and as healthy as possible for 5 days a week for in-person instruction. We are currently, unfortunately, battling a rise again in the number of COVID positive cases. So we are going to have to work against that, and how we do so carefully and how we do so diligently. But the district is committed with our leadership team and our instructional team to protecting all of our interests to be able to do so. Our reopening committee will be comprised of our district and our building leadership. We have teacher representation, we have parent representation on the committee, and there'll be 2 representatives from the Board of Education as well. I had asked the building principals to be in contact with their families, as they know their families most intimately and the best, and they were able to give parent representatives from each one of their buildings also. So we are prepared to go. We'll look at the information that we currently have, and we will finalize our plan as quickly as possible to report back to the board and to the community.
So last year it was, on the committee was Allison and myself, so we were going to continue doing that. That's okay with the board? and disseminate the information as we get it, or also Dr. Coates will disseminate as well. Unless somebody else wants to be different. No? Okay, thanks.
And just one last personnel item. I wanted to welcome tonight Mr. Paul Lang. Mr. Paul Lang is on the consent agenda tonight. He will be appointed with the board's approval as our new Assistant Director for Transportation to work alongside of Karen Wells. So welcome, Mr. Lang.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Coates. Next on the agenda is the Assistant Superintendent for Business, Louise Lynch.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a brief update. You have several budget transfers before you tonight. There are 3 that are from the year that just closed and 1 from the 21-22 school year. The 3 items that you see for the 2021 school year are items that we had discussed to some degree. We talked about the food service fund and the issue there with the general fund having to make it whole. That's right around what we had anticipated. The other item is for the Village of Goshen for our SROs that are in the building. And as you know, we don't negotiate those contract increases. We directly pay what they're paid. So there was a slight increase there. And then there is the improved technology for this room that will be coming about. The last item, which is for the 21-22 school year, it's no change in the service level. It's just a shift to the health services function so that we can offset that as a revenue to some of the students that attend Berg and receive those services, so we can get it back from some of our neighboring districts. And the only other item I wanted to mention is that we had preliminary audit work last week to close out our end of year audit. It will be coming back the end of the month, and we'll continue to keep you posted on that. I don't know if there's any questions.
Any questions for Louise?
Thank you.
Any questions for Louise? Thank you. Are you good, Jay, or you want to expand on anything?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, I know you guys kind of dual service, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. I need a motion. Allison, Tom? Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the consent agenda as presented. All in favor? Opposed? Now we can say we're all. Officially. Good luck. There is no old business, so we'll move to new business. 13.1. In motion to approve minutes, July 12th and July 21st. Shannon? Mike? Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the minutes for July 12th, 2021 annual reorganizational meeting and regular board meeting, and the minutes for the July 21st, 2021 regular board meeting. All in favor? Opposed? (13.2). In motion to approve the entry of the names of the 2021 graduates into our minutes. Billy. Jeremy. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the entry of the names of the 2021 graduates in the Board of Education minutes. All in favor? Opposed? 13.3, a motion to ratify a stipulation of settlement between the Goshen School District and employee 080921A. Shannon, Tom? Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby ratifies the provisions of a stipulation of settlement between the Goshen Central School District and employee number 080921A, dated July 22nd, 2021, as presented to the board at this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 13.4. Motion to ratify stipulation of settlement and general release between Goshen Central School District and employee 080921B. Any motion? Mike? Allison? Be resolved, where am I? 13.4? Be resolved that the Board of Education hereby ratifies the provisions of a stipulation of settlement and general release between the Goshen Central School District and employee number 080921B, dated July 22nd, 2021, as presented to the board at this meeting. All in favor? Opposed? 13.5, I need a motion to ratify supplemental memorandum of agreement with the GTA for technology support. Shannon. Be resolved that the Board of Education hereby ratifies a supplemental memorandum of agreement between the Goshen Central School District and the Goshen Teachers Association, dated July 22nd, 2021, regarding summer technology support provided by a GTA member. All in favor? Opposed? 13.6, approve agreement for special education services for upstate cerebral palsy. Any motion? Jeremy? Mike? Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education enters into an agreement with Upstate Cerebral Palsy to provide special education services for students for the school year, July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute the agreement. All in favor? Opposed? 13.7, need a motion to approve agreement for special education services, music therapy services. Tom? Shannon? Be resolved, the Board of Education enters into an agreement with Dr. John Mahoney from Creative Arts Therapy Works, PLLC, to provide music therapy services for students in need of such services for the 2021-22 school year at a rate of $100 per hour. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the superintendent of schools to execute the agreement. All in favor? Opposed? 13.8, we have the budgetary transfers that Louise discussed in her report. Any motion? Shannon? Allison? Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the following budgetary transfers. Expanded security based on contract with Village of Goshen dated 6/30/21 for $81,927. Unanticipated loss in food service funds, 6/30/2021, $169,872. Installation of new boardroom video and sound, 6/30/2021 for $135,383.35. And transfer nurse practitioner, co-serve to health services to maximize health and welfare revenues, 7/20/21 for $67,460. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 13.9, we have a generous donation from Stephen Hill, a 3D printer. I need a motion. Billy? Awesome. Be resolved, the Board of Education does hereby accept with appreciation the donation of a monoprice Maker Select Plus 3D printer from Stephen Hill for use by the Technology Education Department and students of the Goshen Central School District. All in favor? Opposed? We thank Mr. Hill for his generous donation. Much appreciated. I'm sure the students will very much enjoy that. Next on the agenda is 13.10, a donation and authorized increase to the budget of another generous donation, this time from the GIS PTO. Any motion? Billy and Jerry. Be resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the donation of $10,500 from the Goshen Intermediate School PTO, specifically for Goshen Intermediate School improvements, including 4 outdoor basketball hoops, $5,000, an outdoor classroom, $2,000, painted rocks and signage, 5th grade project for $500, and a school-wide assembly theater works, $3,000, for a total donation of $10,500. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education approves increasing the 2021-22 budget by $10,500 to support the associated expenditures. Appropriations belong to code A1621.455.07 for $5,000. That's for field supplies. Revenues and donations is going into code A2705 for a total of $5,000. All in favor? Opposed? $13.11.
Jay, with this one, I'm gonna have to pull out, I just booked a trip through this.
13.11 is now out. $13.12. Dr. Coates and Mr. Carter went through this in detail. Need a motion to accept proposal for universal pre-K program. Billy and Shannon. Be it resolved that the board hereby approves On My Way Childcare and Learning Center as a universal pre-K provider for 2021-22 school year pursuant to the terms of its July 7, 2021 proposal, a copy of which shall be incorporated by reference into the minutes of this meeting. And be it further resolved that the district's attorneys, Shaw, Perlson, May, and Lambert LLP, to prepare a contract with On My Way Child Care and Learning Center, memorializing the terms of their July 7, 2021 proposal for execution by the superintendent of schools. All in favor? Opposed? 13.3, we need a meeting for next week to set the levy and tax warrant. Any motion? Tom? Mike? Be resolved, the Board of Education schedules a board meeting for Tuesday, August 17th, 2021 to confirm the tax rolls, authorize the tax levy, and set the school tax warrant. All in favor?
That's at 6:30 as well.
6:30 on that.
On the job.
Not 6:32.
All.
How did I click here? Privilege on the floor. Anybody else? Sign up. Board member issues. I have a recognition I have to read here. At the annual reorganizational meeting held on July 12, 2021, the newly elected board members, board president and board vice president, took their respective oaths of office. In addition, the following oaths of office were taken on July 7, 2021. Maureen Farrell, District Clerk. July 13th, 2021. Dr. Curtis Coates, Superintendent of Schools. Nicole De Souza, Treasurer. Michelle Van Selter, Deputy Treasurer. And Andrea Riccardi, Tax Collector. On July 14th, 2021, Christine Jones, Internal Claims Auditor. Any other board member issues? I need a motion to go into executive session. Tom and Jeremy. Be resolved, the Board of Education will enter into executive session with the intent not to reconvene the business portion of the meeting for discussions related to matters that will imperil the public health and safety if disclosed, and for the review of the employment history of particular persons. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. That concludes the regular portion.
Park behind you. There's like no room out there, so park behind you.
Thank you.